Welcome. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. We would love for you to be a part of our show, so send us an email, jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and we would love to hear from you. Well, today, an exciting day, second Sunday in Advent, second week in Advent. Yes. It's Thursday, and next Sunday will be
Gaudete Sunday, I think that's how you say it. It's the rose candle. Mm-hmm. It's a time of joy, a time of rejoicing. And what else did you want to say about it?
And so what I wanted to say was last year we had on our show Amy Welburn, yes. And she is the author of a great book called Bambinelli Sunday, A Christmas Blessing. It's by Amy Welburn. You could get that great book at Religious Catalog, and it's item number 36649, because on Sunday all the children come all over Italy to go to St. Peter's Square, right, where they will bring their baby Jesus,
the Bambino,
right?
Yeah.
And we got this beautiful baby Jesus at Religious Catalog. So you can have a big baby Jesus, or you can have an itty bitty baby Jesus, which you can also get at Religious Catalog, yeah, with this fabulous little purple bag. Bring it to church, bring it to your church this Sunday, and ask your priest to bless it. I know that at St. Paul's at the cathedral, Father Jerebic will be blessing all their little baby Jesus, so bring him, and then you put him out on Christmas Day, yeah, your blessed baby Jesus, to celebrate and honor and adore.
You know, many of the families actually make their Bambino.
Right.
I mean, they make Jesus in a variety of ways, and to have that, new Bambino, that new child, and to bring that to the Vatican for the Holy Father to bless, or to bring it to your own local parish and Father could bless that baby, makes it so special. And that's a part of that Sunday,
right,
that Rose Sunday, that joy-filled Sunday, a little foretaste of what's coming in our Lord's birth. But Joy, I'm thinking about all the beauty of Christmas and the good news of the Bambino, and today, of course, is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, mm-hmm, and Our Lady being saved from any stain of sin by a singular act of grace, by God Himself in the Son Jesus, applying this to Mary from the very moment of her conception, that she would be pure, holy, that the dwelling place of Jesus would be whole and sound and beautiful. We were speaking maybe last show about John the Baptist and preparing the way. Repent and believe the gospel, be converted, bring the high places down, the low places up, make a straight way. He prepares the way. But I was thinking in the Immaculate Conception that Mary's preparing the way in another way, with her being pure and holy, the tabernacle in which the bread of heaven, dwells within her. And we think about Bethlehem, the place of the birth of Jesus, and I think that means city of bread, the city of bread, and that there was no room for Jesus in that inn, and possibly he was born in a cave, I guess, and laid in a manger. And when we say that word manger, it sounds so nice and beautiful, and we think about, but a manger, I think, is an eating trough for animals. It's an unsightly place, maybe an ungodly place, and yet the Bambino, Jesus, was laid in this manger and transforms what a manger is in our thinking and in our sight to something beautiful. He does that with the cross as well, because the cross is unsightly. Cursed be the one who hangs upon the cross. Yet he takes the cross, this unsightly, ungodly thing, and God goes upon it in Christ and transforms it for us to be the place of salvation. And I'm thinking about our special guest today, Brian Boyle.
Very special guest.
And who's going to be with us, sharing about his horrendous accident that took place when he was 18 years old. Just 8 times he was resuscitated. I think he had like 36 transfusions, 13 plasma transfusions. His heart shifted, from one part of his body all the way. I can go on and on and on. He'll tell his story. But that accident scene is so unsightly, but his overcoming, the story of his parents' love in his life, the story of his faith transforms that. And I think that's part of the message of Christmas and of Christ, that he takes the unsightly things, the ungodly things in our lives, and he transforms them. He works all things together for good. That's for you. Because you might be sick or ill. Your child might be sick or ill. You might be nearing death. You're hurting for somebody. Look to the Lord and the strength of his might, and somehow, some way, he will work his purpose out and make this unsightly, ungodly, unbearable thing glorious unto him.
Right, and it might not be illness. It might be attitudes and sins in our lives. As Advent is a time where we should go to confession, where we could say, I want to start afresh and anew. So let this be a show where we pray that the Holy Spirit's really speaking to you, that you say, you know what, I get up today, I get to breathe, I get to walk, another opportunity to enter into the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords and say, Jesus, make something good of my life.
Brian Boyle is here. You are not going to want to miss his face, his story. You're going to be greatly encouraged. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Well, you are an important part of our EWTN family, and if you have a question for today's guest, Brian Boyle, you can give us a jingle right during the live broadcast at 1-800-221-9460. If you're calling outside of North America, you can reach us at area code 205-271-2980. And remember, you can always send us an email at jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and hopefully we will use your question right here on the air. Well, I hope get a cup of coffee, sit down, relax. You want to hear this young man's story.
And we do want to hear from you, especially if you're caring for somebody who's hurting, or maybe you're that person that is hurting, or you have a story to tell, or you're going to find encouragement today. We want you to participate. We want you to call in. We want you to email us. You're going to love hearing from Brian Boyle.
Well, I want to introduce you to Brian Boyle, who is an author, a public speaker, a health care advocate. He has a great website. It's called ironheartbrianboyle.com. And you're going to want to go there and get his books and just to hear this young man's story. Well, Brian, welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you. But first, I want you to tell our family at home your story, BC, before the crash. Who was Brian? What were you doing in your life? You know, where did you live? Where were you born and raised? So that they could get to know you, the young, great man that you are.
Going back 12 years, it was 2004, and I was living the life of a typical high school graduate. I graduated with honors, state champion swimmer of Maryland. I had all these goals for the future about going to college, doing the swim team. And I was just raised to be a person that was very grateful, very determined, very dedicated, had a strong faith background. I had a lot of great support from my parents and my family. And to me, that was the way life was. It was setting those goals. It was pursuing things that I really wanted to pursue, and just having the support and being grateful for the people that were supporting me in my journey.
State champion swimmer at this point. Wow. And just leading a good life.
Everything was great. Everything was, every day was a gift. I would wake up, I had my goals set for me. I was just going to swim practice and just preparing for my upcoming college freshman year. And all those goals that I had prior to that moment, on July 6, 2004, everything changed.
Other siblings?
Only child. My dad had cancer when I was in second grade. He celebrates 25 years being cancer-free this past year.
Bless him.
And I'm the only child because of that.
Okay. So, I mean, really good life, leading the best life you can lead, in great physical health and shape, state champion swimmer. And you did shot put?
Shot put, discus, powerlifting, bodybuilding. Health was a very big factor for me. And every day I had my schoolwork, I had my sports, and I was just trying to be a good person when I was in high school.
Yeah. And so what were you doing on the day of the accident? Where were you before the accident? What was going on in your life that day?
That day, July 6, 2004, from what I remember, from what my parents told me based on my phone calls within that day, I was coming home from swim practice, crossed on a local intersection 5 minutes from my house, and a catastrophic injury took place when I was struck on my driver's side door by a speeding dump truck. And from that point in time, every goal that I had up until that point was shattered, like the bones in my body.
Yeah. You know, it sounds like an oxymoron, a speeding dump truck. A speeding dump truck? I mean, I don't know how that happens or what was going on, but it just kind of came out of nowhere for you. You were at an intersection, and then
And there was an embankment, and he was going over the speed limit. And I had crossed the intersection, he came into my lane. And because of the speed variation that he was going, that is what caused the injury to take place and the accident and so forth.
so injury sounds like a nice word. Tell us some of the impact upon you.
The injuries were catastrophic. Heart went across my chest, shattered ribs, shattered pelvis, collapsed lungs. Pretty much every major organ was damaged. I lost about 60% of my blood at the accident scene. And from that point in time, I was trapped in my car. And the firefighters and the paramedics and the EMTs that were there, the firefighters actually received awards for the way they had to extricate me from the vehicle with the jaws of life. And I had 15 minutes left to live. And in that point, I had the local medevac pilot transfer to pick me up from the accident scene and life flighted me to a local shock trauma unit about 45 minutes from our house.
Gosh.
So when did your parents get the call? You were 5 minutes from home. I'm sure they're hearing everything. They have no idea it's you.
It was around 1:15 that afternoon. Mom and Dad, they were at work at the time, and they received the phone call. My mom came home, I think, early that day, and she saw the voicemail on the answering machine. She pressed the button, and then she heard it from my hospital that I was in critical condition. I had to call the hospital right away. Well, my mom had to call the hospital right away, and she did. And then once she found out that my situation was very, very grim, she called my dad and told him the situation. He was at work. He received the phone call and he works concrete construction, so he was in the middle of working on a project, and he went down to his knees and just in disbelief, could not believe what was taking place in that point in time. And not long after, they were able to go home, drive the 45 minutes to our local shock trauma unit, and that's where they first saw me when I was coming out of recovery.
That's a bad phone call for parents. And I did go to YouTube and watch some videos, and it was great to see your parents so loving, to see their faces, for them to tell the story, the hardship, the sorrow, the hopes, and so on. And I want to share more about their place in your life. But I understand that you had to be resuscitated like 8 times.
That was the magic number for when I was in the hospital. I medically coded 8 times. And in that time frame, the injuries were so severe, and I was clinging to life. I was brought in pretty much dead on arrival. And I had all these different types of things that were being treated in that point in time, but the blood was being pumped in and it was coming back out in the wrong places. The heart had so much damage from being knocked across the chest and so forth. So for me, in that point in time, I was very critical. I was near death, and we were just hoping and praying that things were going to improve, but we didn't know.
Was that the most serious of your injuries? I mean, I've never heard of a heart being knocked like across the chest. I didn't know that that could happen and survive. So was that the deal, trying to place that where it needed to be and it functioning properly? And
that was the main injury for me. Even though I had so much internal damage from the other organs failing and being lacerated, the heart being across the chest is what caused the most concern, the most operations, the most focus in the overall time frame. When I was brought into ICU and shock trauma, the focus was not on the broken bones. The focus was not on the spinal damage. It was the heart, then the brain, then the vital organs. So it kind of went through that process, going from point A to point B to point C, and just trying to treat everything and heal that. But then as time went on, those things that were being healed were going back to having complications.
how about the impact on your brain? I mean, you seem to be totally integrated, doing well. Was that pretty protected? I mean, because I saw some images of the accident, and we've spoken to other people that have been in accidents that really have traumatic brain injury. What was the extent for you? Was it?
It was a blessing not to have any spinal or brain damage.
That's amazing.
And that was one of the main things that they really tried to focus on with the CAT scans and MRI scans early on. And they could not believe with the way I was struck by the vehicle, the way I was in the actual crash and the collision and the injuries that I sustained, that there was no brain or spinal damage.
It's amazing thinking about your story and your own commitment to your health and well-being physically, and building up your body, doing everything with your body. But that's what really took blows. I mean, it probably saved you in the long run, but that really got damaged. You couldn't do anything for your brain, besides education and so on. It's almost like the Lord protected your head, you know what I mean? Like you did all you could there, and that got pulverized just about. But what you couldn't protect, I don't know, somehow, some way. I mean, that's just amazing. So just thinking as you're
So then your parents come to the hospital. Are you aware of their presence? Are you in a coma at this point? What was that like?
I believe, based on my parents' accounts, because the first couple days, first couple weeks for me, it was in and out of consciousness, being in a medically induced coma. I didn't know what reality was. I didn't know if I was living a dream, living a nightmare. I couldn't tell what day it was, what time it was. When I was in the hospital the first couple days, my parents experienced every second of that. I was on morphine. I was on medically paralyzing medication. So for me, there wasn't really any memory of that taking place, but they saw everything, and it was very real.
So you're in a coma for 2 months?
2 months.
Okay. And so when do you open your eyes or hear? Because during the coma, were you able to hear?
When I was being weaned off the heavy sedation, I was very hypersensitive of my surroundings, because that's how I could tell what was taking place that day, the next week, what was being said in my hospital room, in the hallways across from my room. I was very hypersensitive to my surroundings. And that, to me, is how I was able to understand what was taking place and how I could get back into life again. But some days were easier than others to do that.
Okay, take us into that state of mind a little bit more. Was it let's say you're in a coma for 2 months, was it every day that you had some kind of an awareness that was going on? Were the conversations going on within yourself in terms of what's going on, what's happening to me, or you hear bits and pieces out there? What's it like going on in your head?
That's a great question. And for me, in that time frame, I was aware. I was observing the people around me, my parents, my family, my friends, my care providers. And that's how I would piece together that I was in an accident. I had a lot of damage, a lot of broken bones and vital organs that were injured. And that's how I was able to understand how to go from these next moments of recovery and trying to create that progress in that point in time. But for me, I couldn't tell if it was a day-to-day process where I was being weaned off the sedation. It felt like weeks went by and I was kind of just trapped in this kind of fog. And I couldn't tell how long I had been there or what time of month it was or what time of year it was. Yeah. I just woke up in a hospital bed, room 19 of ICU, and I'm being told these different things and hearing and observing, and I'm not sure what was taking place around me. It was just like a living dream kind of thing.
In that place, does your will, does your spirit say, this is just too much, and do I just want to check out and slip away? Do you encounter that?
Does that happen in the coma state that you're in, or once you get out of the coma and begin to... Was the feeling when you came out of it versus being in it, was it worse coming out of it than being in it physically, and you're getting, what's going on? I'm just kind of wondering.
The worst part was being in the coma, almost being in a locked-in state, in a trapped mental prison in a lot of ways. So for me in that time frame, I was observing the people around me, and I was just trying to figure out what's taking place, what's going on, what's happening. And that is when I had those challenging moments where I'm observing the people around me and I'm hearing possible vegetative state, possible nursing home the rest of my life. I'm 18 years old. I have all these dreams and goals for my future, but I'm just trying to survive in this hospital bed in room 19 of ICU. And that was challenging. Every day I would have those moments where I'm just being reactivated, almost woken up in this living nightmare that I could not escape from. I realized it wasn't a nightmare, this is reality. And that was terrifying to me because I'm going down the hallways to the operating room and I'm getting surgeries for reasons I don't know. And I'm looking outside my ICU room and I'm seeing wheelchairs being pushed by with white sheets covering the other patients because they weren't as lucky as me at that point in time. It was terrifying. I'm 18 years old, just trying to figure this out. And those moments, it just made me realize, and I look back on this selfishly now, and I had many conversations with God, and I was praying to end the suffering. And I was 18, and that's just one of the things I always feel so guilty now looking back in that point in time, but in that point in time, that's how bad it was. And I was just trying to end the suffering, but then with the faith background that I had growing up and the way my parents raised me, my family raised me, it was one of those moments where I realized through like divine intervention, the strength came to my parents. One day they realized what I was thinking. I'm not sure how it happened or how they knew. But up until that point in time, I was comatose. I was not showing any signs of progress. I was not moving my fingers for yes or no commands. I was not blinking. I wasn't showing anything on the external surface. But my parents knew somehow. They came in my room that day. My mom was being held up by the nurses. She had Kleenex to her face. And my dad came up to my hospital bed and he put his hands over my chest and I had wires and tubes going in and out of me. And I could just see the fire in his eyes. And he's my dad. He's my buddy. He's my hero. My parents growing up, they were always there for me. They were my support factor, my best friends. And here I am in this point in time in ICU, my weakest and darkest moments in life, and I'm realizing I'm not just the only person here suffering. My parents are going through something 1,000 times worse. I'm on morphine. There really isn't any physical pain. They're not on morphine. They're experiencing every second of this time frame. And I realized with what they're going through, I had to get better for them. And I realized it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my suffering. It wasn't about me being a comatose patient. It was about surviving, to keep my parents going, to keep them positive, to keep them happy. And I just looked at my dad, and he's begging me to stay strong, and he's walking around the room, yelling.
Yeah.
In last resort.
He was having a conversation with you.
Having a conversation, and it was a very real conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of strong words in there, but I realized that's how serious it was. And they were begging me to stay strong. And I'm like, Dad, I'm doing my best. I'm doing the best I can. My mom's on the other side of the room, and I'm like, I don't want to see you guys suffer anymore.
Yeah.
But I realized it was up to me to make that decision to keep going. And it's almost like it shocked the life back into me. My parents' love for me, it brought the life back into me. I had life support. I had machines in my room breathing for me, keeping me on this earth. But my parents' love is what kept me going. It kept me deciding to keep fighting, to keep living. And from that point on, I'll never forget that moment. It was my darkest moment in life, but also my most triumphant.
You know, what you described that so well, and it really is the force of love. You know, and through their suffering and through their crying out, you knew they cried out to the Lord to spare you, to save you, to bring you back. So they're crying out to you, but now they got to cry out to you because it's the constitution of your own person. You know, and they're saying, Brian, come back. Wherever it is that you are, come to us, you know, that you would then be awakened to that force of love and to say, I'm going to do everything I can, and I'm going to start moving something, right?
It's so true. And in that point in time, my parents had left that day for visiting sessions. And I remember thinking to myself, I had to keep going. I cannot give up. I cannot think about these things and think inward anymore. It's not about me. I have to keep trying to find this hope, this strength, this resilience, this determination to keep fighting. And I thought, what can I do? What can I visibly show my parents that I'm still here? I'm still fighting for them. And I thought, well, I can at least try and form a smile on my face. That's a positive sign. I can show them that I'm still here by smiling. That night they came back in and they saw the smile on my face. And it wasn't all the way a complete smile, but it was close enough. And my parents, in that point in time, for the first time, 2 months in ICU, in a coma, I'm seeing the happiness in their face again. And I became addicted to seeing that happiness. I didn't want to see them sad anymore. I didn't want to see them suffer. I did everything I possibly could to show them I'm still here and I'm still fighting. And that smile was everything I hoped it would be.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. What a gift. Well, you know, I mean,
it's hard to respond.
it is.
It's
It's
so
just like,
beautiful. It
you know,
really is beautiful.
I can't imagine as a parent and what your parents were going through, you know, but you know that people were praying for them because that accident affected so many people, you know, a faith journey, you know, your priest, all your people, your family, all the people who love you who are crying out. I mean, and it's a miracle. I mean, it's just a straight out miracle, you know, and to have you here today, it's just a miracle. It's just so awesome to have you. And I'm sure you know that every day is a gift, and your mother could never kiss you enough, and your father could never kiss you enough. And it's just such.
But that they were doing what they were doing, because we're talking like they were connecting. But he's saying he's in a coma state. He's kind of locked in here, and you keep saying that you were seeing them. I mean, how could you see them? I guess that's just a spiritual thing. But I mean, you were really
connected.
I was very connected to my parents, to my care providers, to anyone that was in the unit. The way my bed was angled, I could see a little bit outside my room. So anyone who came into my room, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, I could hear the communication. I could hear what they were saying. And then when they would get near me, I could see them, and I was observing them. They were taking care of me medically, physically, but I was observing them as well, their behavior, their treatment of me, their communication, and their connection with me. And that is what, it just kept me motivated, seeing the people that were supporting me, believing in me, helping me live, bringing all these different types of blood donations and blood transfusions, and seeing the machines being brought in my room and being brought down the hallways for more medical procedures. There was a whole team of people that were responsible for helping me live and survive and continue on. And I was just so thankful for seeing what they were doing for me that I was just watching them. I was just observing.
We're speaking with Brian Boyle, author, public speaker, healthcare advocate. His website, ironheartbrianboyle.com. You can get his books there at that website. We want to hear from you. We want you to call in. This man is a great inspiration, and he gives the glory to God, and he gives thanks for his family. We're going to take a break at this point. We're going to be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Well, remember that we want you to be a part of our show. If you have a question for Brian, this unbelievable man who's telling you his story, give us a jingle at this live broadcast right here at 1-800-221-9460. Outside of North America, you can reach us at area code 205-271-2980. You can always send us an email, jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and hopefully we will use your question right here on the air. We're speaking with Brian Boyle. He is an author, public speaker, healthcare advocate. And you can go to his website. It's ironheartbrianboyle.com. And we were just sharing before the break just about the healthcare. Like, that's why you're an advocate, because, I mean, you were a mission even for them. You know, I mean, I'm sure that when you smiled back, that first smile, I mean, and then I'm sure the whole floor went crazy, because there was like, he's in there and he's going to come to us and we're going to do everything that we can. So it went from the smile, then did fingers move? How did we
Tell
go?
us coming out of this, how you came out, when you came out, and then a bit about the rehab process, years.
It was near the 2-month point in time of being in the medically induced coma when I was able to smile. And gradually progress continued. And it was just trying to almost stay with that progress that I was making, and also trying to have my parents keep them going as well. So it came from smiling, it came from moving my fingers for yes or no commands. It was blinking, moving my toes, to squeezing a hand when I was told to squeeze someone's hand. Little things like that, baby steps. But in time, those little movements, those little subtle gestures became my communication to the world. And I just depended on that. And the people around me were like, okay, Brian's continuing to recover. Let's try talking again. Let's try the speaking valve. And I had the trach, I had life support. So when I brought the speaking valve over one day, my respiratory therapist, Tony, he hooked it up to my neck. And after many, many attempts of trying to get me to say a few syllables, one lucky day it just happened. And that was the moment where I was coming back to life in a whole different way, because I was visibly there. I was showing signs of improvement, but to speak was a whole different scenario. So my doctor, Catavinas, ICU director, was near the room, and I said hello to him. And he looked at me, and he said, did he just speak in room 19 of ICU? Because I was a very critical patient for the previous 2 months, and I'm still hanging on. But he was really startled by that, so they kept going with the speaking valve, and I kept making those attempts at the syllables, and it just kept continuing. I was able to say hello. My parents came in one day. My doctor, Catavinas, was rushing them down the hallway. You have to see this, you have to get in here. And they're so used to that being in a negative way, because they're not sure what they're going to experience when they come into the room. They came around the room, and the whole room was full of nurses and doctors and my therapists and my specialists. And they almost like parted the ways for them to come into my room near my hospital bed. And I saw Dad first. I said, hey, Dad, where's Mom? And
Brian.
he lost it, and I'm going to lose it right now. But Mom came rushing in, and then, you know, she saw me, and it was just one of those moments in life that I'll never forget. Everyone in the room, they broke out in tears, for once in a good way.
Yeah.
And that was that moment where us as a family, we're continuing on.
Yeah.
We have gone through so much, but things are getting better. Things are recovering. Things are improving. And I was able to build the endurance up of speaking. It took a couple days, a couple weeks. But as time went on, I was able to have those conversations and talk to my parents and tell them it's going to be okay. You don't need to worry anymore. And that was just those moments that I tried to find that inner motivation to keep excelling.
I don't even know if we said during the show that you're a triathlete, okay? And you finally, you know, built yourself up over years, and you had determined not to just walk around or take a walk. I mean, you decided to do a triathlon, which consists of what? Tell me again, the three.
Swimming, biking, and running. Swimming 2.4 miles.
Which you could do.
That was
In your past life.
That was past life. Biking was a different story,
Yes.
especially for 112 miles.
112.
And then the marathon is 26.2, so 140.6 total.
Okay. So I want to get that in, and this takes place finally in Hawaii, right? Kona?
Kona, Hawaii, yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
And Brian, is it 3 years after you had the accident?
It was 3 years after leaving ICU.
That's
And
like
it
a
is,
miracle.
because I don't know what pictures you sent in, and we did watch a number of YouTube videos and so just to get the story and so on. But I remember seeing one picture of you. I don't know if you're in a wheelchair or in a chair, and you just kind of, I mean, your legs are so thin.
So atrophied,
I mean,
right?
and your head's so down. I mean, how in the world? I mean, the therapy, the training, so it was like a 3-year period to make it to that point?
3-year process, and that went from leaving ICU, going to outpatient rehab, to transitioning from that point in time to going home and having my parents be my full-time care providers, going to outpatient rehab 2 or 3 times a week for several months. And then 2 years went by and I'm recovering. I'm slowly getting back into life again. I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm eating, I'm tying my shoes, I'm living independently again. There were small things, but in that point in time, they were monumental steps.
They're major, yeah.
And with the whole recovery process up until that point, it was just, let's wait and see. What else can we do? What's tomorrow going to bring? I'm walking 10 steps a day. What's tomorrow? Can we go for 11 steps? That was the motivation. But it just kept continuing, going from ICU, near death for 2 months in ICU, and then going to 3 years and crossing the finish line of the Hawaii Ironman triathlon.
Oh my Jesus.
That point in time, it was just like, what else can we do? What's the next step of this process? And that to me, it took the Ironman to complete the healing process because I felt so limited, so restrained. If I coughed or sneezed for the 3-year process of recovery, mom and dad would be really nervous, really worried. They said, Brian, are you okay? And we go back to the emergency room or go back to ICU. And it was just one of those things where I thought, if I can do something like the Ironman, then I'm fully healed and there's no need to worry about me anymore. I'm physically, emotionally, everything's good.
Swimming 2 miles would have been just good, you know? I mean, like, I could swim 2 miles, I'm good, it's okay. But we also watched on the video your parents at the finish line. I mean, oh my gosh. You know, they took every stroke with you. They took every pedal on that bike with you. And as they were waiting for you to come across, we were watching, we were like, oh my Lord, it was unbelievable. What was that? I mean, the hugs, the tears, the victory, what was that like?
It was, my parents talk about when they first saw me in my recovery room, it being tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And when I was 100 yards from that finish line,
the
near
same.
midnight on October 13th, 2007, I saw my parents there. There was thousands of people around the finish line and all the lights were really, really bright. But I saw my parents and they were just standing there. I'm like, I have to get there. 100 more yards. He's gone over 140.6 miles, 100 more yards. And I was really hurting at that point in time of the race. My legs were numb, my whole body was
late at night.
Very late at night. And I had until midnight to finish the race. And we were getting pretty close to that.
So there's a time limit.
There's a time limit, 17 hours. And I was getting pretty close to that time frame. So for me, I had to get there. And every step of that day on the entire Ironman journey was getting to that finish line for my parents and the people that supported my journey, the people praying for me, people believing in me, people back home that were writing me emails and messages of good luck and writing me letters. Everyone that was a part of that journey, that was the reason why I had to do that race for them. And that's what fueled me to get to that recovery, to get to that Ironman, to get to that finish line. It took a long, long effort to get there. And I wasn't sure when I got to Hawaii for that race if I could actually finish. 3 years after leaving ICU, I was just happy to be walking. So to go to the Ironman and attempt this race was about just finishing the swim, then finishing the bike, then whatever I had left over is the run. And we're just gonna walk if we have to, crawl if we need to. But we were gonna get to that finish line. And I'm so glad everything worked out that day, the way that it did. But for once, it was a good kind of pain.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the network kind of sponsoring this whole thing was really following your story, weren't they? And so you became not just one person who finished, everybody's equal, but your story kind of went all over the country, all over the world then, right? You didn't know that was going to happen either.
It was
so
a bit
now you
overwhelming.
now you become this world person, world figure that millions, if not billions of people have seen and know. So where does it go from there now? Were you glad about that? Not glad about that? It was like, I did this, I just want to go away. Now everybody's watching me. You did more after that, or where did your life go? I mean, you were propelled to another place.
It was overwhelming in that time frame, having that support and having that outreach. When I came home from that race and I was still, for the first month, it was just trying to heal again, get back into just walking normally again. But like I said, it was a good kind of pain. And for me to have that feedback, that support, it was a new experience for me. I'm a very bashful person. I'm very, very shy. So talking to a lot of different people, talking in interviews is not my background. But for me in that time frame, it was the idea that it was much bigger than myself. The Ironman was a fantastic platform. I was so grateful to have that ability to do that, to go in there and finish this race. And I'm still doing races, Ironmans and ultramarathons and marathons. I love the sport of endurance sports. But for me, it was my platform to help make a difference, to almost be a positive example to people going through a similar adverse situation, young and old, all different backgrounds, not just car accident victims or different people of certain situations and injuries, but anyone who's going through some kind of adversity in their life. It's about believing in themselves, believing in the people around them, and just using that to get to that point of recovery or to that next point of their life where they're healing and they're able to have that closure in some form. And it was a team effort. Even going back to when I was in ICU and I was in rehab and I'm in my wheelchair and I'm thinking to myself, I may never leave here, but I might. And if I do, I want to be able to go back and first thank the people who are responsible for my survival. Go back to the rescue squads and the firefighters and my medevac pilot and my EMTs. I want to thank them. I want to shake their hand. Then I want to be able to go back and raise awareness on blood donation. I'm a blood recipient many times over, and I want to raise awareness on blood donation. And then going through this process, completing the Ironman,
spokesperson for the Red Cross.
of the Red Cross and blood donation on a national level. And for me, it was just about trying to make an impact, trying to have my story. It's there, it's getting some leverage there, but I want to have it where it can help others. I want it to be a positive influence in some form, in some way. And that has been my goal since leaving the hospital, was just trying to get better for my parents, my family, and then in the wheelchair, it was about being able to have this story, this background, this understanding to relate to people who are going through something similar and help them during their time of need.
We're going to go straight to the phone. Carol Ann's on the phone. Welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy. Your question or your comment for Brian?
Thank you, Joy. First of all, congratulations, Brian, on your recovery, and God bless you in all that you do. In 1984, 32 years ago, my husband and I received the terrible phone call that your parents received, and we rushed to the hospital, and our daughter had died. And I was wondering if you'd ever heard from the dump truck driver. Did he survive? Did he call you? Have you heard from him? Did he apologize? Did he ask for your forgiveness? The girl who was driving the car that our daughter was in has never contacted us. We've never heard from her. And she was our daughter's friend, but we've never heard a thing from her. So it's hard to forgive someone that has not asked to be forgiven. And I was just wondering how you handled the driver of the car.
Carol Ann, thank you for being a part of the family, for sharing such a tender story. We bless you, your family, our condolences, and we bless your daughters with peace. So thank you for your question, for your comment. Brian, you heard her question about the other person involved in it. I don't know where you want to go with that in your own situation, but that's just a part of her story there. You know, how did it work out in yours?
We can relate very well to that, because in that time frame, my parents and myself, and me being the patient for 2 months and then going through recovery, my parents, they were not in the hospital as a patient. They were able to have communication with the outside world and so forth. We never heard from the driver. We never were able to speak to him, never heard about anything to do with that. And that was one of the things I always wished, that I could just have a conversation with him. And for me, and having that strong faith background, there's no ill will, there's no anger towards this man. He was working that day. He was going to the next job site for what he was doing, and accidents happen. For me, I just wished I could have talked to him. I've seen him, but I never talked to him. I've never spoken to him. And for me, that would have helped so much with the closure in that time frame. I think about this man every single day. And for me, it's my background, it's where I came from, it's who I am as a person now. But just to have that closure, I've never actually had that.
What do you think you might say?
I hope he would say he apologizes.
What would you say to him?
He's forgiven. Just to have just to have someone, just to be able to talk to him.
Yeah.
Because to me, when I was in the hospital, I never met him, I never saw him. And just to have that dialogue, it would have meant a lot to me to have that. My parents are a different story. I'm not sure how that conversation would go. But for me, I'm here. I've recovered, and I'm just happy to be living. I had no anger in my soul, in my spirit. So for me, that's the background that I have, and that's just the way I was raised, was to be a grateful person, not to hold any grudges against anyone. And for me, it definitely is life-changing for me as a person, but it's also, to me, life-giving. Yes. And I don't forget that.
God bless you.
Well, all through your story is faith. You know, you said that you were reared in the faith up to the accidents, faith that has sustained you. And then we see faith working through your family, your love for your family, you wanting to serve, you wanting to give back. So it's all through your story. But are there any other particulars regarding your faith, your Catholic faith, that have been very important for you? Maybe the sacraments, or a priest involved in your life, or any other aspects about the Catholic faith before or during or after in your life?
growing up in the church, having my sacraments, that was my path. That's what made me the person I am today, and that helped so much in the recovery frame, but it also helped in post-recovery. It helped me in where I am today in my life. And for me, I look back in that time frame, especially in the hospital, and I talked to my mom and dad about this earlier today, about their first couple conversations once I was able to leave ICU, and they were talking to my ICU director about, thanking them for all they did to help take care of me. And my mom told me after the fact that my doctor looked at them and he said it wasn't him, and he looked up at the heavens. And my parents, they don't forget that. And in the first couple of days when I'm in the recovery room and they're being told that I was in God's hands, they don't forget that either. And I don't forget that, because that is where I had to come from. That's my background. That's what I overcame to where I am today. And having those moments, the faith that I have, the way I was raised and so forth, it kept me grounded in those dark moments, those moments where I was really, really trying to just continue on. Having that background, it kept me positive, kept me hopeful, it kept me believing that tomorrow would be a better day. Today might be rough, but tomorrow could be a better day. And I just really tried my best to hang on to that. And I kept thinking to myself in the hospital, in those moments when I was saying my final prayers, and I kept asking God, why did this happen? I'm a good person. I did everything you wanted me to do. I have my sacraments. I'm just trying to live a good life and be a good son to my parents and to my friends. And here I am on my deathbed just trying to survive. Why did this happen to me? I had so many questions and I wasn't getting any answers. But the one question that came to me that helped define all of that, that helped overcome all of that, was, why was I saved? And that's one of the things I'll never forget. It was in that time frame that made me realize it's tough, it's challenging in that point in time, but I'm still on this earth. I'm still living. I may have machines breathing for me, but I'm still going. I'm still
You
here.
went from why to what. And that's what we all have to do, right? Because you can ask all the whys, and it's a mystery to somebody. Then you can say, well, like, what now? Where do I go from here? What do you want from me? And that's a critical point. Joe, we have an email.
Okay. Did you find that having a commitment or a routine help you in the healing process? Did this accident somehow help you relate to the suffering of others, specifically the martyrs? And this is Carrie from Melbourne, Florida.
That's a great question. And for me in that time frame, going through my own recovery process, I'm going through a lot in that point in time. And like I said, it wasn't about me just suffering in ICU in room 19. When I was going through rehab and I'm looking around the room at my physical therapy unit, and I'm looking at other people going through life-changing experiences. One of the individuals that I remember to this day so vividly, his name was Jerry. He was an older man, probably in his 40s. And he was in a wheelchair, and I was brand new to the unit. There was dozens of people in there, and everyone has a story, everyone has an experience. I'm brand new. I'm just trying to find my way in this next point of my recovery. I'm being wheeled in, and this man comes up to me. He's got a spirit to him. He has some kind of aura around him. And he's like, hey, buddy, how are you? My name's Jerry. And I say, hey, Jerry, I'm Brian. And I shook his hand. And he was in a wheelchair, I'm in a wheelchair. But it was an instant connection. I knew there was something about him, and he was asking me, why I was here and what happened, what were my injuries. And I said, car accident, just got out of ICU and so forth. And I asked him what his background was. And he told me that he was also in a motor vehicle accident. He was the passenger, and his brother was driving, his wife and mother and daughter were in the back seat. And he was involved in a crash with a truck, a semi-truck, and he was the only survivor. And in that point in time, being brought into the next phase of my recovery, I'm realizing it's not just me. I'm not the only person on this earth who has going through something adverse or tragic. Everyone in this room, everyone all over the world is going through something. And it's about reaching out and connecting and having an ability to relate, to connect, to understand, because it helps to have someone that understands where you're coming from, to relate, to comprehend, just to have that conversation, and just to let them know that they're not alone. And for me, that team effort, that support system, it kept me positive, kept me optimistic all the way through.
Thank you.
Have mercy.
Well, we're going to keep Brian with us into the last segment. It's Brian Boyle, ironheartbrianboyle.com. He can come and speak to your fellowship, to your parish, to your church, to your organization, and you'll be greatly, greatly blessed. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. More to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, you are an important part of our EWTN family, and you know, we would love to have you join us here live on At Home. You could have been in our audience today. You could have met this fabulous young man, Brian Boyle. All you need to do is contact the EWTN Pilgrimage Department, pilgrimages@ewtn.com. Give them a jingle at 205-271-2966. And come to Birmingham, Alabama. We would love to have you. Well, right now, we're going to go straight to Rome to hear from Joan. Joan, what do you have for us today?
Well, greetings from Rome to all of you at home on a very beautiful and festive day here in Rome. Now, of course, December 8th marks the feast of the Immaculata, the Immaculate Conception, a very big day, a holiday and a holy day in Italy, and a very big day for families. Now, the Vatican tradition is that a pope goes to visit both the Basilica of St. Mary Major and then Piazza di Spagna, where he deposits a beautiful bouquet of flowers at the feet of the statue of the Immaculata. Now, Piazza di Spagna, in case you didn't know, gets its name from one of the beautiful buildings on the square, the Palazzo di Spagna. And that building has housed the Spanish embassy to the Holy See since 1647. Now, a great tradition here early in the morning of December 8th is for firemen, Rome firemen, to place flowers atop the statue of the Immaculata in the square. Because many, many years ago, it was 220 Roman firemen who actually raised the pillar and the statue of Our Lady of the Immaculata. Now, early in the morning, they place flowers on the statue, and one member places a bouquet on the arm of Mary here. This is a very beautiful tradition, and the firemen are also there throughout the day as our Franciscan and Minim friars, because when Romans come to offer floral tributes, the friars arrange these in beautiful bouquets and floral arrangements. And by the way, this tradition began under Pius XII of bringing flowers here on December the 8th. As I said, single flowers as well as bouquets are presented here and arranged in beautiful bouquets. Now, the beautiful column of Cipolline marble was actually found in 1777 in the Church of the Conception in the center of Rome. But the whole thing was not raised actually until September 8th, 1857, which was 3 years after the proclamation of the dogma of the Immaculate Conception. So, beautiful day here. I hope it is for you at home, and God bless and happy feast day.
Thank you, Joan. Another wonderful report there from Rome, and her sharing is so much our story of coming back to the faith, because we went to Rome many years back when I was a lapsed Catholic, right around the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And God bless us. But Brian, sanity is being in touch with your past, living in the now, and setting your face towards the future. And I believe you're sane and whole. What's happening in your life now? What's going on in your life?
Every day is a gift. And for me, every day I wake up, and the first thing I do when I'm in the bed, I move my fingers, move my toes, I blink, and I realize I'm not in a coma anymore. This is 12 years later, and I'm still doing this. So for me, it's just been an absolute blessing every single day. I just finished my master's degree at Johns Hopkins in communication. I got married in 2013. My wife, Pamela, she's a pediatric nurse practitioner. Amazing. My mother-in-law, she's a critical care nurse. My mom, my dad, they're my heroes. And for me, we've been on this journey, and this journey continues, and that's the best part for us as a family. And I do a lot of different things when it comes to working with the different the youth, Catholic youth across the country. I go and I speak to their schools, and I visit with their classrooms and so forth, which is always a great experience for me and for them as well. And it's just about having those goals. I continue racing, swimming, biking, running, ultramarathons, Ironman, triathlons. I've done over.
Is your wife athletic?
She is.
There you go.
She is. She did her first Spartan race this past August. We were working on a
That's
half marathon
fun.
this fall.
Good.
She's done a couple of 5Ks, and she inspires me.
Yeah.
I mean, her enthusiasm for life, her positivity, and she's also a very, very strong Catholic too. And when I proposed to her, we went to the church, lit a candle, and I took her to the middle of the altar, and I proposed to her. And
what a romance.
Within 6 months, we went to the same church, same area, and we got married. And for us as a family, it's just been an absolute blessing. The past 12 years, the journey continues, and we're just very, very thankful.
You have 2 books, tell us about your first one, what's contained in it, how it's being used, and your second one.
The first book, Ironheart, was published in 2009. That's based on my 3 years in recovery, the journal entries that when I was going through ICU and recovery, I went back to the hospital in November 2004, 2 months after leaving ICU. My nurses said, Ryan, how's your recovery going? I said, it's taken some time. They said, go home, put your thoughts down in a journal or a composition book, because in months from now, years from now, that'll be your motivation. So I went home around Thanksgiving of 2004, and I just had a stack of journals that are written over years. That became Ironheart in 2009, which is taught in schools across the country, which is amazing to me. I'm so thrilled to have that opportunity. And I published the patient experience last spring, and that is based on my experience as being a healthcare advocate, because in my time as an ICU patient and going through 3 years in recovery, I met so many incredible care providers, and I wanted to write a book to acknowledge what they're doing for their patients and their families, and to almost improve their experiences in a way where it improves the experience for them, their patients, and also their families that they're looking after. So it's a win-win for everyone in healthcare.
We could go on for hours with you. It's Brian Boyle, Ironheart, brianboyle.com. God's plan for you is for good and not for evil, to give you a future that's full of hope. God bless you. Bye now.